What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Haulin Bass TV. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Today we have my top 5 favorite Ned Rig baits. Today we're going to be going over those 5 Ned Rigs and a couple little tricks that I do to take my Ned Rig fishing to the next level. Let's roll that killer intro and get right into this video. One of my favorite things about a Ned Rig is that it just flat out catches fish. You're not going to be targeting bigger fish with a Ned Rig. However, if it's tournament day, you have 30 minutes left and you only have 4 fish on a live well, this is what I'm tying on just to get bit. This is one of the best ways just to put one more fish in your boat and get that tournament day to get a full bag. Or if you're just trying to go out and have a little bit of fun, or if you're just a weekend fisherman that goes out post frontal, or it's just a rough day, this is the bait that you need to tie on when those days happen. With that being said, let's kick this thing off with one of my personal favorite Ned Rig type baits, which is the Z-Man's Tickler. It is made out of that Elastec, which is awesome because you can catch fish all day long with it. You can almost just use this one bait and that's all you'll need all day long. Especially if when you rig this up on this Ned Rig, if you put a dab of glue right on the back of the head of the hook, this thing is never going to move, ever. I have tried taking them off and all it does is just stretch and stretch and stretch and stretch. I actually have to take a razor blade in there to cut the rest of the super glue and the rest of the bait off the head before I can put another one on. It's kind of ridiculous, to be honest with you, how well that super glue holds these on. The biggest thing that I really like about these ticklers is when you throw that out, it's sitting on the bottom. These 4 appendages are always just sitting there, just waving around. It gives it a touch more action when it's just sitting there, but it's not going crazy. It's just enough to look like a little minnow feeding on the bottom and its little tail fins just kicking away. The next thing up in the lineup that I personally love is Missile Baits Ned Bomb. This thing is an absolute fish catching machine. One of my buddies turned me onto this about halfway through last year. I believe it was at Falls Lake. It was extremely hot. Everyone was having a really hard time getting bit, and I just needed to put something in the boat during practice. This exact color is the one that I had tied on. That chartreuse tail was extremely muddy, and this chartreuse tail certainly stuck out during that time. I really like this bait because when it's underwater, it's not quite as erratic. That tail just kind of flips back and forth, but it's always moving. But it's not anything absolutely insane. The next one in the lineup is a Guggen Baits Rattling Ned. I'm really not a huge fan of Guggen baits as a whole. However, with this Rattling Ned, I have so much confidence in it. It's really not that much different than the original Z-Man TRD, which is just 3-inch stick. I don't know what it is about this, if it's the rattle, if it's a scent, if it's a plastic, I'm not sure. However, I do know there is a rattle in this bait, and one of the best things about it is if you don't want the rattle in there, you can just pop it out and then it's silent. And you got the rattle over here. This is actually the bait that I caught my 7-pound bass on last year. It was about a year ago now that I caught that monster bass out of the pond that we were fishing. And it's still the biggest bass that I have personally caught. But this bait, it's just simple. And the great thing about it, it's got the rattle in there, especially during the summer. It will call fish from a little bit further distance than the rest of these because it makes quite a bit more noise. The best thing about these rattles is when you get this tore up, you catch a couple fish on it, you rip it off and you still have that rattle in there. You pop the rattle out and put it in your tackle box. Because if you're ever using this, throwing a Ned Rig around docks, if you hit that piling or hit a steel pole or anything like that, it'll more than likely break that rattle. So when you're reeling it in, you're like, what's going on? You just push that broken rattle out the bottom of it, go in your tackle box from the old tore up baits, pop a new one in it. Good to go. Now the next two baits I currently don't have with me. The first one on the list is the Ned Dizzy by Biz Baits. That bait, it's actually one of a local bait makers. He's local to the area, however, he is nationwide, and that company, Biz Baits, is absolutely amazing company. You saw in the High Rock video, the one that we won, the majority of the fish that we caught that day was on the Diamond Dizzy, and the Ned Dizzy is the exact same thing, except this big. A 3.5 inch bait. So that Ned Dizzy is one of my confidence baits when it comes to Ned Rigs. It's a really good bait and it gets the job done every time. The last bait is the X Zone Ned Zone. It is about the same size, it's about 3 inches, except on the back of it, it has a little bit bulbous tail, and that thing is going. There's a couple different YouTubers that have done some underwater footage of it, and that thing is just wagging the whole frickin' time. It floats up kind of like Z-Man's products do. They do float, so it does stand up really well on the bottom, and it's going like crazy. In the dead of winter, not necessarily the best bait because it does have so much movement in it. However, once you get past that month of that really extremely lethargic fish, it's a great bait all year round just to put fish in the boat. The last thing that I will share with y'all, and I use a lot of Z-Man's heads. I haven't really branched out a whole lot. I have used a couple different tungsten heads and I really like that because they are a lot more sensitive. Angler Tungsten actually makes some, and those are really good Ned heads. And they even make an EWG style, which means that you can throw those into those brush piles and not have to worry about getting snagged up. But if you don't happen to have an EWG rigged up and you are pitching out in rocks and you just happen to pull up to a laydown or you're pulling up to a dock where you don't want to get hung up, the easiest way that I have found to rig this up is to rig it up just like a shaky head, where you rig it in through the back and then you bring it out and you barely expose that hook. So as soon as they bite down on that bait and you set that hook, it's ready to go. That is probably one of the things that I really don't share with too many people until now. It's a really good way to get those very small compact baits into those dangerous areas where you're going to lose a lot of Ned rigs if you're not careful. But if you rig it up just like that, you do have to make sure you set the crap out of that hook though, because it does take a little bit of pressure to get that down through there, and that little bit of pressure on those medium or medium light rods takes a lot of hook set to get that hook point through that plastic. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really hope that you guys learned something today because I've been really concentrating this last winter and I had done it quite a bit throughout this tournament season, trying to learn as much about these Ned rigs as I can so I can bring that information to you guys. If you guys did learn something, make sure you guys hit that like button down below. If you guys haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you want a sneak peek and everything that's going on, head on over to Haulin Bass TV. Hit the follow over there. You'll know everything before it comes out on YouTube. We also just got new merch in. the Haulin Bass TV hats. We have 3 different colors. We have the black, we have the heather gray, and we have black with the green mesh on the back. We also have beanies. If you guys want some merch, go over to Haulin Bass TV on Instagram, DM me over there. I will get that to you guys as soon as possible. Go catch your PB for me. Spartan!